Hello, everyone, and welcome to the newly renamed Nicera's Corner. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at one of my favorite sitcoms, a show called Girlfriends, which originally aired in 2000 and concluded in 2002. Now, this show focuses on the lives of four black women named Joan, Toni, Lynn, and Maya. Now, this isn't a review of the show itself. This is a ranking of all the love interests that the women love and lose through over the course of the series. If you haven't seen this show, I highly suggest watching it because there are going to be spoilers in this video. Just a heads up. So here's how this ranking is going to work. We got trash tier, mid tier, and top tier. First, we're going to start in trash tier. Now, when I go through these men one by one, they're not in like any specific orders within the tier. They just all count for one of the three tiers. Okay. So first we got Stan the Stalker. So Maya had an emotional affair with Stan because she was having trouble with her husband Darnell. But when she finally kissed Stan, the kiss was so nasty that she rejected him. But Stan would not take no for an answer. He loved Maya and he wanted to get revenge on her by befriending Darnell and putting Maya in a very difficult position. So right off the bat, Stan is a creep. Stan is a weirdo. Stan is annoying, and that's why he's in trash here. Like, he doesn't count as a boyfriend. He's like the worst love interest there is because, well, he could have been Maya's side piece, but he's just a weirdo and he's a bad kisser. Next. Okay, next up we got is that weird British guy that Lynn dated. I don't remember his name. I don't really care to remember his name. But Lynn joined his band, and this guy entices her into joining an open relationship. But Lynn loves him, and she changes her mind about being open and him having relationships with other girls right in front of her. But for some reason, he disregards everything that she says and shows her time and time again that he doesn't care about her or her feelings. He's a very odd character because, well, the way he speaks, I don't mean, it's really hard to talk about this guy because he's so weird. He acts very strange. Like, he doesn't listen to anything that Lynn says. He disregards everything that she says. Like, she once kissed two of his other girlfriends right in front of her, and he didn't have any reaction. He just suggested that they should have a threesome. Wow. Okay, next. Ugh. Next is Ellis. From my grown, you can probably tell that I hate Ellis the most out of all these men because he's a whiny actor who dated Joan, but he gave her literally nothing in that relationship. He got his ex-girlfriend pregnant, and when Joan said that this affects her too, he got mad and stormed out. And did I mention that she found out that he got another woman pregnant on Valentine's Day? Yeah, Joan should have hanged it up right then on that very day. Like, though I will give Ellis like one pointer is that Joan did some messed up stuff. And Ellis, he would drag her. And I'm not gonna lie, Joan often deserved every single bit of dragging that she got. Well, sometimes. Like, there was one time where Ellis dragged her for being jealous that Toni was getting married before her. In that episode, albeit very sad, I kind of enjoyed seeing Joan get dragged through the mud because she was acting a fool and yelling at Ellis and lashing out at him when reality she was mad at Toni. But Ellis clocked her, and to my chagrin, they actually got back together in that episode because they broke up. But they should have broken up long ago because their relationship was just a hot mess. Next, okay, next up is Roscoe. Not much to say about him. He was a bum. He was literally the male version of Lynn. The show tried to make us look like Roscoe was like the problem because Lynn had a job at this time. One of the few times she actually had a job in this show. And he didn't. He refused to get a job. And I'm not saying she should stay with him, but she should stay with him because, yes, he's a bum. But it was funny to see her live with the male version of herself. The only plus I'll give Roscoe is that he gave Lynn a really cute dog. Okay, next up is mid tier. Okay, first up in mid tier is Sean. He was a sex addict. He was boring. He's not the worst of Joan's boyfriends, but he lied to her to break up with her instead of just saying it like an adult. So, yeah, he kind of sucks. Okay, next, Greg. Greg is kind of complicated to talk about because, he's rude. He's an artist who dated Toni, but Toni was mostly the problem in their relationship because she would always be so rude to him all the time. Toni is a very shallow person, but she willingly got into a relationship with a man who she knew did not have a lot of money and treated him terribly and then cheated on him and got a venereal disease because of her affair and kind of exposed Greg to it. Like he didn't catch the disease or nothing from her, but it was chlamydia. He didn't catch it from her, but still that whole plotline was wild. But Greg was rude, but he really didn't deserve to be cheated on. He didn't deserve to be treated like how Toni treated him. But Greg also did need to get revenge on Toni by cheating back, pretending that he wanted to get back together with her and then cheating on her with another woman in her apartment. That was foul. Greg can go to hell for that. Okay, next. Next up is William. Now, William, he is the male lead in the show. He's good friends with all four of the women. But he has relationships with two of them, Lynn and Joan. His relationship with Lynn was very chaotic. They started out having a fling and then they ended up getting married. Though their marriage was more like an in name only. I don't think they were sleeping together anymore when they got married. It was just to get Lynn money. I don't actually remember how that plot line went, but it was very funny and it was very weird. It wasn't even a real relationship, if you ask me. But now his relationship with Joan, now this was a hot mess. This plot line was very pointless. Although I will admit it was interesting to see because it happened in the one I consider to be the best season of the show, season 5. But the relationship, it didn't need to happen. But mostly because Joan could not make up her mind over whether she wanted to be with William or not. And they just kept getting back together and breaking up, getting back together and breaking up. Joan was mostly the problem in that relationship. William, he made it clear that he wanted to be with her, but Joan just couldn't make up her damn mind. And it was annoying. Next. Wait, hold up. Before I actually move on from William, let me just say this. William is a very problematic character. He's misogynistic, and he has this weird fetish of lesbians. This show came out in the early 2000s, so a lot of the stuff they play for laughs just did not age well. His lesbian fetish is very, very creepy, considering that his sister is a lesbian and that he's technically the father of her baby because he's a sperm donor. But yeah, his relationships with the girls aren't like he's a good friend, but as a boyfriend, nah, it's just not his fam. Okay, for real this time. Next up is Derek. Derek is a good man. He didn't really do nothing wrong in the show. Joan screwed him over bad, and then he rightfully dragged her when she made a fool of herself at this party. Like, Derek is funny. Derek is real. He was right to be suspicious over Joan sleeping with him to get that magazine cover. And then she just cheated on him with two other men, and then he dragged her through the mud, and it was hilarious. I don't like Joan. You can't tell I really don't like Joan. She kind of deserved all the hate that she got from the fans of this show. And she also deserved that dragging that she got in season 6. Okay, next. Next up is Pastor Kadeem. Pastor Kadeem, now I call him that because I don't remember his character's name, so I just call him by his actor's name, Kadeem Hardison. That's who plays him. Pastor Kadeem, now Pastor Kadeem is similar to another character named Savad. He's very different from Lynn, but unlike this Savad guy, Kadeem was very cute with Lynn. I can tell that he loved Lynn dearly. His relationship with her was a lot better than it was with Savad because this man, he genuinely loved her, but he had to choose his faith over being with Lynn, even though they were kind of hot together, I have to admit. Okay, next character is Savad. Now, Savad, in my opinion, Savad wasn't like a bad guy or nothing. He was just kind of pretentious, in my opinion. Lynn was mostly the problem in their relationship because the only thing she had in common with this guy was they were both hippies and they were both poets. But Savad was celibate, and Lynn is very promiscuous. I'm not saying that's a bad thing or nothing, but it was never going to work because Lynn was trying to force him to give up his beliefs so that they could sleep together. And that was a recipe for disaster. Okay, next is Davis. Davis is a missed opportunity. Like, he had a lot of chemistry with Joan, and those two could have been really cute together, but these writers, they just dropped his character after, I think, the second season. And they kept him with this crazy, annoying fiance who I really cannot stand. I don't really have much to say about Davis except, man, what a missed opportunity. Next, Kenneth. Kenneth is a very sweet guy. He dated Joan. He had a fling with Joan for a while. They were very cute. His only flaw is that he's like an old ass man. He's like 70 something. Joan was in her 30s. And Joan's a grown woman. She can make her own decisions. She can date whoever she wants. But yeah, they were actually really cute together. I liked them. But it probably wouldn't have lasted long because, Ken probably didn't have that many years left in him. Okay, next up is top tier. The first guy in top tier is Todd. This may be a controversial decision because I know a lot of fans of this show, they don't like Todd. But Todd is a good man. Toni ruined their marriage. And she almost ruined Todd's life because Toni is a nightmare. She did the same thing with Todd that she did with Greg. She got with a man. Now Todd is in debt. Toni got with him thinking that he was rich because he was a doctor, but he was in a lot of debt. So when she found out he was broke, she started treating him like garbage. But she wouldn't divorce him. Instead, she just moved out their house. He begged her to come back. She did. But she proceeded to keep treating him like garbage, pushing him away and pushing him away until he asked for a divorce. The same thing that she did with Greg, except that she didn't cheat on him, thankfully. Now, Todd and Toni, they had a very cute love story. Before they got married, they had this like cute little banter going back and forth, and their chemistry and their love story was very, very sweet. But the writers ruined it, and I really don't understand why. Now, before I move on to the next guy, I just gotta say this: Todd is not a perfect character. He does lose points, in my opinion. He loses points with me because of the mess that he pulled with the custody battle between him and Toni's daughter Morgan. I didn't like this. I didn't like the fact he tried to take her daughter away. I don't like the fact that he let his racist mother tell him what to do. Todd is a very nice man. He's a very smart man. He kept Toni in check. Like, he was not afraid to stand up to her. He was not afraid to call her out on her mess, even though she never changed. She and him could have had so much together. She and him could have been one big happy family, but she just had to ruin everything. But Todd didn't have to take Morgan away from her. That was messed up. So, I like Todd, and I don't care what anybody says. Okay, next guy, Darnell. So, when we first meet Darnell, he is an awful husband to Maya. He's a loser. He's actually quite misogynistic. He's kind of controlling over Maya, and he's just very annoying and actually kind of whiny. And when she cheats on him with Stan, I can kind of understand why. I'm not saying she was justified in doing that at all, but I kind of didn't. I'm not gonna say I didn't feel bad for Darnell, but I kind of understand because Stan seemed like he understood Maya more than Darnell did. He wanted Maya to go back to school, but Darnell didn't. And Maya was really hurt by this, but she couldn't express her feelings to Darnell because she always had to put her feelings on the back burner to like save Darnell and save his ego, basically. So Darnell divorces Maya, and they're actually divorced for a very long period of time, but eventually they reunite. And when they reunite, Darnell becomes one of the best characters in this entire show. He's not only a fantastic husband, Maya is now the annoying one in the relationship. He's funnier, he's sweeter, he's not misogynistic, and I'm not trying to reward bare minimum behavior, but he's a great guy. And also, he's easily the handsomest out of all the men on this list. Like, look at that face. He's gorgeous. Anyway, okay, next guy is Aaron. I love Aaron. Aaron is a darling. Now, something I gotta harp on real quick is that the writers of Girlfriends, they hate Joan Clayton, okay? Because every time she gets into a good relationship, which only happens about 2 times in the show, in my opinion, they throw in something horrible to happen to her to break them up. Joan really wants to get married and have kids, and when she meets Aaron, he proposes to her in this very beautiful scene where they bring out everybody who's ever been in the show, including Joan's parents, and her other friends and family members, and it's around this new house that Aaron and Joan were building, and then Aaron proposes, and then she says yes, and it's a very beautiful scene. They had a very cute relationship because they're very similar. He's very sweet, he's very funny, but then here come these evil ass writers sending Aaron off to fight in the Iraq War. Yes, you heard that right. They sent him off to war. And they actually had this whole episode where his plane or this vehicle he was in got shot down. But don't worry, he didn't die though. But that was scary. But here's the thing. Unfortunately, Girlfriends actually got canceled in the 8th season. And we find out that Aaron survived the accident, but he was on his way home. But we never got to see him return home because the show got canceled. So again, these writers are evil. Like Joan, even though I don't like her, she still deserved a happy ending. Though one thing I will get on Aaron for is that there's this one episode where he and Joan get into this fight because Aaron's ego got bruised because he was mad that Joan bought a stove for their new home without asking him, as if she even has to do that at all. What? That episode just kind of baffled me. They were getting into this debate over like who wears the pants in their relationship, and that whole concept is just very messed up. Like relationships to be equal, the hell. But anyway, other than that, I like Aaron. That was like the only bad thing he did in the show, and considering who Joan has been with in the past, that is like almost nothing compared to the men that I've previously mentioned on this list. Okay, the next one, the last one, the best love interest in Girlfriends is Brock. Brock is, he honestly, in my opinion, could have been Joan's soulmate. Like, he tells her that he wants to take a trip to Vegas, and she immediately assumes that he wants to get married, even though he never said anything to imply that. And he sees that once she realized that she's made a misunderstanding, she's really sad about it. So he's like, hey, you know what? Let's get married. Let's elope in Vegas. And they do it. They go through with it. So yes, he was actually willing to elope with this woman out of nowhere. They haven't even been together that long. And the story of how they got together is actually kind of wild because he was Ellis's agent, and Joan had an affair with him. So Brock gets extra points because I hate Ellis and I like seeing him sad. So I have to give Joan her props for cheating on Ellis. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But yeah, that episode, that plot line was wild. But I do love these two together. They have great chemistry. Brock was very funny. Brock was so sweet. Brock and Joan were made for each other. But then, what happens? The writers of this show once again prove how much they hate Joan Clayton, because they make it so that Brock doesn't want to have children. And that's a huge problem because that's one of Joan's biggest dreams, to get married and have kids. And she tries so hard to change his mind, but he doesn't relent. And I'm not saying that not wanting to have kids is a flaw. There is nothing wrong with not wanting to have kids. Not at all. You don't have to have kids if you don't want to, and you can't force someone to change their mind either. But the writers, they were sick for that because Brock was perfect for her. He was actually one of the first good men, actually no, the first good man she ever dated in this show, in my opinion. But he don't want to have kids, so Joan has to dump him. And then my heart is ripped into 1,000 pieces. I'm still really upset about that, if you can't tell. So, that concludes this list. So, I don't really know if I got all the love interests from the show, because there were a lot. I feel like I might have left a few out, now that I think about it. But I don't know if I'm right or if I'm wrong. And you can tell me your own ranking of the love interest from Girlfriends if you've seen the show. The show is on Netflix, and I highly suggest watching it. So if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye.